Hello, my favorite English language learners. It is your favorite English teacher here, Amy Joy, and in today's video, we are going to continue talking about social issues, and specifically, I am going to give you 12 collocations to talk about wealth and basic needs. So our first two collocations are basic needs and basic necessities. These collocations refer to the bare minimum of what you need to live, like food, housing, and clothes. So to put this in a sentence, we can say, I don't make a lot of money, but I can afford my basic needs or my basic necessities. And our next collocation is minimum wage. This is the lowest amount of money that a company can pay you legally. So for example, right now, the minimum wage in the United States is $7.25 an hour. But unfortunately, sometimes people who make minimum wage still cannot afford to pay for their basic needs or their basic necessities. And the next collocation, to make ends meet. This is kind of an odd phrase, but it is quite common to say. And to make ends meet means to barely be able to afford your basic needs. So to put this in a sentence, we can say, since Paula makes minimum wage and has 2 children, she barely makes ends meet. So the verb is makes, and then ends meet is always the same. Here's another example for you. During COVID, many people lost their jobs and were unable to make ends meet. And number 5, to live paycheck to paycheck. This means to not be able to save any money, or basically you spend all of the money that you make. Your money comes in and goes right back out. And anyone can really live paycheck to paycheck, even if you are wealthy. If you spend all of the money that you make, then you are living paycheck to paycheck. But people who don't make a lot of money are often forced to live paycheck to paycheck. So if you make minimum wage and you have to spend all of your money on basic needs or basic necessities, then you are living paycheck to paycheck. And before moving on to the next word, make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel, and click that notification bell so that YouTube will notify you whenever I post a new video. Thank you. And numbers 6 and 7 are not quite collocations, but they are still very important to know. Number 6 is the word shelter. Shelter is simply a place to live. So putting it in a sentence, you can say, basic necessities include food, shelter, and clothing. And number 7 is the word housing. Housing means the apartments and homes where people live. Let me give you a few examples. The government is trying to increase housing for low-income individuals. Or the cost of housing in California is very high. And number 8, cost of living. Cost of living refers to the cost or the price of products and services in a certain area. And this includes housing, services, groceries, basically everything. And to use this in a sentence, we might say, the cost of living in California is much higher than the cost of living in Kentucky. Basically, everything just costs more in California than in other parts of the United States. And number 9, low income. This collocation is an adjective, and it is used to describe someone who makes very little money. And we can use our example again. We can say, the government is trying to increase housing for low-income individuals. Or another example, if you are low income, you are able to apply for programs like food stamps and affordable housing. Technically, there is an equation or a calculation that determines if someone is technically low income, but that differs from state to state because the cost of living in different areas is so widely different. So if you hear the word low income, you can just know that that means someone makes very little money. Okay, and number 10, low socioeconomic background. This means that someone comes from a low social and economic class. And to use this in a sentence, we might say, although he has a low socioeconomic background, he was able to get a college education. And number 11, standard of living. This noun refers to how much wealth, comfort, and possessions a person or group has. And in a sentence, we can say, that neighborhood has a high standard of living. Everyone owns cars, has backyards, and their homes have air conditioning. I don't know why, but I always associate standard of living with air conditioning. Being in California, sometimes it just gets so hot and it is so much more comfortable if you have an AC. And yes, I know that's a very American thing, but it is what it is. So standard of living can refer to how comfortable your life is. If you have a high standard of living, you have a very comfortable life. And if you have a very low standard of living, you have a very uncomfortable life. And our last collocation, number 12, quality of life. This is very similar to standard of living. However, it also includes your health. So quality of life means how healthy and comfortable you are. So you could actually be very rich, but if you are unhealthy or have an illness and you are in pain, your quality of life might still be very low. So in order to have a good quality of life, you need to be healthy and make enough money to pay for your basic necessities and enjoy life. All right, well, there you have it, 12 collocations to talk about wealth and basic needs. I hope you found these words helpful, and if you did, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time. Bye!